Time for Night Court. On the docket tonight, a federal judge is giving the green light to a lawsuit seeking to block the addition of a citizenship question on the 2020 census, meaning there will be a trial this fall pitting more than 24 states and civil rights groups against the Trump administration. Federal officials say it will help enforce voting rights laws, but critics call it a form of discrimination, saying it will discourage both legal and illegal immigrants from filling out the form. Joining us to make their best arguments, both for and against, Emily Campagno, a former criminal defense attorney and a former federal attorney, and Eric Guster, a civil and criminal trial attorney. Great to see both of you.
Great to be here.
So, Eric,
Thank you.
Why does adding this question to the 2020 census go over the line? Who does this hurt the most?
It hurts all of us because in order to get an accurate census, we need to know who is living where. It has a great impact on benefits. It has a great impact on tax dollars. And more importantly, we know what the population is in each area so that we can provide crucial services. And many immigrants who are afraid to let people know that they're here and they may not be here, may not be here going through the processes, they're afraid to let people know where they are, which really hurts all of us and hurts the government in the allocation of services and education.
Emily, we hear these numbers thrown out there about the number of illegal immigrants in this country. Wouldn't this help us get a better handle on it?
Sure, in part, but that's not what the purpose is. Now, the issue here is both with the lawsuit proceeding in terms of the judge's reasoning and then also the macro level of the lawsuit itself. So just tackling the judge's reasoning for a second, again, in letting this lawsuit proceed against the Trump administration, he cited Commerce Secretary Ross's statements as potentially untrue and probably misleading in terms of his explanation of adding the question, because the judge says the Department of Justice has shown zero interest in enforcing the Voting Rights Act, but that's exactly what adding the citizen question does in the 2020 census. It's to gain an accurate data for voting age adults in order to then know what exactly the population is comprised of. And secondly, I note that he, in his analysis of candidate and President Trump's statements, called them racially charged. Now, that's a conclusion that should be reserved for the jury moving forward to preserve any semblance of a neutrality here. The judge should have said they have the potential to be construed as such. So again, just with that reasoning alone, that lawsuit really should not have proceeded. And there's additional fundamental issues with the lawsuit itself.
Eric, your response to Emily's take?
Emily had a great point. The jury should decide. That is why the lawsuit should go forward, because it's left up to a jury to determine whether this question is a valid question or not. We all must account for every person who is in a geographic area. Yes, it does impact voting, but it also impacts allocation of services and education, educational funds. Even if a person is not on the voting rolls, they may have children who depend on educational services, and that money should be allocated based upon the population. If we don't know where people are, then we can't properly allocate funds, and that would hurt all of us, including those who are against this.
Emily, would this question have a better chance of making it onto the 2020 census if Congress passed legislation authorizing it?
Well, yes, but that's actually also what I was about to say, is that the appropriate vehicle for this is actually Congress itself. And here's why. Because since 1996, federal law has dictated that you must be a citizen in order to participate in a federal election. They set penalties as up to deportation, imprisonment, inadmissibility, and fines. So you can obviously construe their intent that this is really serious. So the appropriate vehicle is changing legislation. It's not a lawsuit against the enforcers. And to answer your specific question, absolutely, if Congress were to legislate such that it would be a done deal, at least until the courts, at least until a lawsuit was filed again against those particular legislations.
All right, Eric, what would be the practical impact if this question were allowed to go on the 2020 census? The states obviously claim there would be a massive undercount.
Yes, because people will be afraid to answer. If you're asking people, are you here illegally or not, they won't answer the question because they're fearful that it will alert ICE, it will alert law enforcement of where they are, and they will concentrate on those people. If you really want an accurate count, a head count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not who's here illegally and who's not. That is how you accurately get a census, not based upon nationality, not based upon immigration.
All right, Emily Campagno and Eric Guster, thank you very much for your time. Great to have both of you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.